Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Board of Selectmen meeting. Today is March 26th, 6:30. Let's get up and I'll pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so let's go and approve the minutes from the last meeting, March 12th. Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Community relations, announcements, and an open forum.
All right, good evening. Announcements for the Board of Selectmen meeting, March 26, 2024. The Charlton Cemetery Department will begin its annual spring cleanup on Monday, April 1st, 2024. All winter baskets, pots, and decorations must be removed before this date. Any items left behind will be removed and discarded by the cemetery department personnel. Seasonal items may be replaced on the lots after April 14th, 2024. The Charlton Cultural Council will be holding the Art Exhibit 2024 from April 8th to April 19th at the Charlton Public Library. Reception will be held on April 11th from 6 to 7 in Dexter Hall. Yard waste drop-off dates. April for branches and brush is April 20th and the 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for grass clipping leaves as well from May 4th and 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All at 100 Flint Road. That's all the announcements.
Appointment and resignations.
All right, first appointment is for a local inspector. Attaches a request from Human Resources Director Lynn Dyer asking the board to appoint Casey Burlingame as the local inspector with start date of April 8th, 2024. 9 applicants were received and interviews were held with 3 candidates by Kurt Meskis, Kathy Stanley, and myself. I recommend the board make the appointment. Here is Casey and Kurt.
Hello.
Good evening. So, as people progress in time, they move on to other full-time positions. So Mr. Fenner, took the full-time position in Palmer as the longtime inspector there, retired. And we went out for a new local inspector. And as, Mr. Golis has indicated, Mr. Burlingame, Casey Burlingame here to my right, was the selection. We made an offer to him and he's ready to be appointed and start for us on April 8th.
Oh, that's wonderful. Can you tell us about yourself, Casey?
Sure.
Good people listening.
Sure. So I grew up in town, right on Burlingame Road, so I'm very familiar with the town. The history of a lot of properties. I'm also fully certified as a building commissioner, which is great for this role. I do have quite a bit of experience in other communities for the past 9 years. I think it'd be a great opportunity to work alongside Kurt and under his tutelage in the town that I grew up in.
Anybody? Any questions? No? Well, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Make a motion to appoint Casey Burlingame as a local inspector with a start date of April 8th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Right, the next appointment is for the Old Home Day Committee. Attaches a talent bank form from Harmon Hertz, seeking to be appointed to the Old Home Day Committee. I'd recommend the board make the appointment.
Make the motion to appoint Harmon Hertz to the Old Home Day Committee.
I second. Can you check on that? That's what, yeah, there's one of those 2 people that should be up. Okay, so we'll have that for the next one. Have that for the next meeting. Okay. All right, so we have time until, right?
Yes.
Oh, Harmon!
Yes,
Thank you for coming. Maybe you want to introduce yourself? This is the appointee for the Old Home Day.
Hi, Harmon Hertz, 54 Bond Road. Been in the town since 2008 and want to get involved with the Old Home Day Committee and feel like I can benefit and help the town.
And what are your responsibilities?
At the moment, I am going to be in charge of the stage and then also helping out at the fireworks, planning and stuff.
Yeah, super. I can take you enough. Okay, this is big job and it's truly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got that. Yeah, so let's do, new business.
All right, nomination of inspector of animals. Attached is a notification by the Division of Animal Health that the inspector of animals and the alternate inspector of animals term will expire April 30th, 2024. You are asked to make the appointment of Emily Sears as the inspector of animals, Kathleen Flynn and Edward Hart as the assistant inspector of animals. The term of these appointments will run from May 1st, 2024 until April 30th, 2025. Once the appointments are made, we'll notify the Division of Animal Health who will make the official appointments. I recommend the board make the appointments this evening.
Move with the motion to, as written in the nomination of inspector of animals.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. As business, yeah. Oh.
So the first item under old business be a ballot, to consider a ballot question for the approval of the fire station project. So in working with bond counsel on the ballot question for the substation project, I asked the board to consider approving the following question. Shall the town of Charlton be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called $13,100,000 bond and the interest associated therewith, issued in order to pay the cost of designing, constructing, equipping, and furnishing a new fire department substation, including the payments of all costs incidental and related thereto. In order to add this to the ballot for the May election, we would need a 2/3 vote.
Okay, so the bond council has the approval authority on that.
Correct. So we, kind of gone back and forth with DOR and they ended it with, consult your bond counsel. Bond counsel has taken wording from other communities that have had similar language. And which has been approved, so we feel very confident that this would
This
be,
is what it is.
this would be a way to move forward with a question that includes a number.
A number, because that was the concern. Guys, any discussion on this one?
It doesn't lock us into that number though.
You can always go lower.
Go lower.
You just can't go lower.
Was there any follow-up to whether we could have the two options or how, Selectman Singer's point was phrased for option, what was it, 3 and 4 being for the voters?
Right, so in order to do that, you'd have to be town meeting. And that's essentially, if the question was similar to having that language of 13 million, and the town was unable to get a 2/3 majority on that at town meeting, then a motion could be made on the floor to amend. But the ballot question is kind of stuck with the ballot question. If you have the wording, the only other option would be to exempt the entire project and then go to town meeting and give those options.
Can we change the ballot question? Because we couldn't put a price in it.
That was the first push that we got from DOR, and then when bond council came back, they said, here's an alternative way we can make it.
Would it be appropriate to have an annotation in here to say, to annotate that the 13 million would be the top level and there could be a floor motion to lower that amount at town meeting? I just want to give this all the chances to pass, and the people that want to do 10 million and.
Well, they're gonna be explained right on the floor too, right? If somebody who.
This is a ballot.
Speak and,
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, but the whole concept of it.
The votes before the meeting.
Correct, it's by 3 weeks,
If it fails,
Oh, because it goes.
then it just gets passed over.
Discussion.
Yeah.
right, exactly, discussion's over. If it doesn't pass the $13 million mark, then
I mean, even if we could add in there not to exceed, then we just have to socialize.
sort of giving recommendations on specific language, so.
It would be good if we could do like a not to exceed though. Just because that way, at least you're putting some confidence in the voters that, if we do this and this happens, it's not gonna be more than X.
Yeah, not to.
No, there won't be a surprise later. Oh, hey, turned out it was actually 1.5 million more.
No, I want it.
I'll give you a way to work on it.
We
have
can
to-
run it through bond council.
We can always open just to change that if we have to, after you talk to them. So we don't have to hold this all up for that, right? So Pete, he'll run that by and see if we can do it.
So what are we doing with this? I think that's all.
I would ask that at least the board approve the question pending that we see if we can go that route, because we do have to get this to the ballot.
So approve it pending the council approval
If-
of adding the
if
index.
council-
Index.
Right, if council allows for language to be added up, putting not to exceed, we'll try to fit that in. If they flat out deny, this would be the language we have to move forward. We would look to move forward with. You know, the other option being taking the language of a cap out and then having the discussion at time meeting.
Does that work for you? So do we need a motion in a second, or just know you have the direction?
I need a motion, a second, and at least a 2/3 majority.
Okay.
You made a motion, I'll second.
And make a motion for the question as written with the addition of not to exceed after review with town council.
So good? Okay, all in favor?
All right, so also in here is your draft annual town meeting warrant articles, and I've included a copy of the budget with all departmental requests that are currently under review from the finance committee.
So I need to,
So what I.
the most to approve them all.
So what I ask is, we're not approving or making recommendations this evening. Specifically on the warrants, this is more just to update you as to where we stand with most of the articles after we've kind of vetted through them. One thing that I'm sure will be within, so our next meeting, we'll have the finance committee here, invited the school committee as well, so that we can go through specifically the budget requests. But I wanted to just annotate some of the changes in here, at least that have been requested in the budget. So this budget includes the addition of the 2 firefighter positions and uniform allowances to account for those. A request from the building department to add a assistant position. The request from the school committee as far as what was approved at their last meeting. A proposal to change the cemetery superintendent position to a more of a facilities director and open space position role. And the appropriate health insurance increases in order to account for those. So, and at the pleasure of the board, if you want to discuss that tonight, or if you want to hold till you have a discussion with the finance committee at your next meeting.
I think we need FinCom's
Okay.
engagement in this.
Okay.
So so how are we gonna have it? So we going to vote
We don't,
on moving it, or do we have to, no, just?
we don't need a vote tonight. It was more or less to give you guys
Yeah, yeah.
information as to where we
Okay.
stood with everything. Or if you guys had any direct feedback on anything right now.
Is it 7?
Right person, Mr. Reports.
Okay, so let's do that. Yeah. Right, yeah, Jacob.
So throughout the school, there has been quite a lot of change recently. There has been a science club formed which will explore topics throughout various STEM fields, such as the MIT Invent Teams. The new school website has been launched at the same link as the previous one. Leading into April, there will be a career fair on the 11th and a classwork and attendance recovery enhancer program held over April break. Lastly, for this section, the school is working on providing a Chromebook for every student. For Skills USA, 33 students have placed in the top 3 contestants, and 23 students will be advancing to the state's competition. There were also 4 teams that were on the podium, and 2 teams will be advancing. Furthermore, 2 state officer candidates have qualified to move on to the next step. Finally, the Superintendent's Association Award has been issued to Dylan DeJesus and Meredith Clark.
Very good. Thank you, Jacob. Your report?
Sure. So Main Street sidewalks. So we are headed to the procurement phase of this project. So barring any anticipated delays in procurement, we're looking to award a project to a contractor sometime by mid-May and hopefully begin construction in early July. So that way that construction project's not impacting any of the bus schedules. Veterans District. So we're part of the Southern Central Massachusetts Veterans Service District, which is an agreement between the towns of Southbridge, Oxford, Auburn, and us for the administration and oversight of the veteran agent services. We're coordinating the approvals for reapplication, which is required every 2 years under Chapter 115. And once we get the member towns to approve of the reapplication, we'll have this back before the board hopefully by next month. Last week, Charlotte Fire Department took delivery of the new Tanker 2 after a 2-year build period. Department will be coordinating some in-service training on the apparatus and have it placed in service in the coming weeks. With the space constraints, this apparatus will be housed in the Station 2 down the street. Just for public information, we're currently recruiting for the positions of assistant town accountant and executive assistant to the fire chief. Anyone interested in applying for either of these positions can do so at townofcharlton.net/jobs. And finally, Mass DOT will be engaging in a request for information on the redesigning of their service plazas along the Mass Turnpike. This process will commence over the spring with public information meetings being coordinated through Mass DOT. And we'll share the information once it's available for members of the public to participate.
Thank you, Andrew. Other business, we have nothing. Next meeting announcement, April 9th.
Yep.
It's all good? All right, so.
Everyone's.
You have to make a complaint, right?
For anybody else?
Do we have everybody?
As well.
We have a quorum, so we do that, we have this, we have called it public hearing.
All right, so our office was given a dog complaint by Jason Kim. I pronounced that correct? No, it's fine. Sorry. Regarding nuisance dogs by barking excessively owned by the Zasex. Attached, please find a hearing notice hand delivered to the Zasex complaint, narrative of the animal control officer, police logs, a warning issued by the Zasex by the ACO, town bylaws and mass general laws related to nuisance or dangerous dogs. Attach are the guidelines for dog complaint hearings. Anyone in attendance for this hearing that will be speaking or anticipating to speak must be signed in. And once signed in, the chairman will have all stand and have them sworn in for testimony.
So you guys have to all sign in?
And I'll administer it once you guys are all set.
Okay, raise your right hand. Good afternoon. I state your name. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony I am about to give in this manner will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Acknowledging this oath under the pains and penalties of perjury. So help me God. All right, so.
So you first do the animal control.
Yeah, all right, so Emily.
Emily. Everyone?
I'm just reading to you my report.
Yeah.
Sorry. During the summer of 2023, I received 2 dog barking complaints involving both A6 2 dogs, Moose and Maverick, who reside at 5 Priscilla Lane in Charlton, Mass. One of the callers was Jason Pascucci, who resides at 7 Priscilla Lane, and the other an anonymous caller. Mr. Pascucci reported that Nicole's dogs were becoming a disturbance to his family's peace and asked what could be done about it. I explained to Mr. Pascucci that I would talk to the owners of the dogs, and if this was to continue, to please report it to me. The anonymous caller reported the same complaint regarding the dogs barking. Both callers reported that the dogs were kept in a pen that was outside of Mrs. Asek's front doorstep, so the dog's bark was much louder and they barked at everything that walked by or drove by. I called Nicole Zasek after both complaints to the address to address the issue, but did not speak to her on either occasion. I also drove by the house on each occasion, witnessing the dog pen, but no dogs outside barking at the time of arrival. On August 21st, 2023, Mr. Pascucci called me to inform me that he had spoken to a neighbor and decided to approach Nicole Zasek personally, and that he did not need my help with this matter at the time. I reiterated to Mr. Pascucci that if this is still an issue going forward, to please report to me. 2 months went by and I have not received any other complaints involving the Zasek dogs. On October 18th, 2023, and October 23rd, 2023, I received more complaints about Nicole Zasek's dogs barking and that the issue had not been resolved. I was able to drive by 5 Priscilla Lane on October 23rd and saw no dogs outside at the time of arrival. I sent Nicole Zasek a warning for barking dogs. The warning was issued per Charlton Bylaw Section 110-3, letter B. A nuisance dog as defined in MGL Chapter 40, Section 136A, shall be a dog that, by excessive barking or other disturbance, is a source of annoyance to a sick person residing in the vicinity, or by excessive barking, causing damage or other interference, a reasonable person would find such behavior disruptive to one's quiet and peaceful enjoyment. Or, in Charlton Bylaw 110-4, letter A, no owner or keeper shall violate any provision of this bylaw, nor permit any dog, whether licensed or unlicensed, to become a nuisance dog or to run at large within the town of Charlton any time, day or night. On November 6, 2023, I received an email from Nicole Zasek stating that she received the warning and wanted to discuss the issue in depth. Nicole stated that she wanted to set up a meeting to discuss the rules and regulations regarding dogs in Charlton and what kind of protection dog owners have, as she was aware that Jason Pascucci, as she was having issues with her neighbor next door, Jason Pascucci, at 7 Priscilla Lane. Mrs. Zasek made me aware that Jason Pascucci sent her a certified letter about the issue, but had not had any communication with him since September 20th, 2023. Mrs. Zasek also reported that Jason Pascucci put up a wooden fence that has also been antagonizing her dogs with Halloween decorations and masks, setting off their car alarms consistently, setting mothballs near the fence, and installing a dog barking device deterrent. Due to personal family emergencies, Nicole pushed the meeting off until after the holidays. On January 4th, 2024, I received a call from Mr. Pascucci stating that he sent Nicole Zasek a certified letter, but it did not resolve the issue and that he wasn't sure what else could be done. I informed him that he could bring the dogs to the Board of Selectmen for a nuisance dog hearing and explained to him how that worked and what it entailed. I told Mr. Pascucci that documentation and proof of the dogs barking, i.e. outside cameras picking up the barking, recordings, etc., are helpful. Mr. Pascucci stated that the dogs don't get exercised or walked, which he thinks results in the reactive barking, and that the location of their pen was really an issue, and he tried to ask them to move it with no luck. Mr. Pascucci stated that the dogs are outside sometimes as late as 10:30 p.m. Mr. Pascucci also stated that Mr. Zasek harasses his children, stares at them, and growls at them. I informed Mr. Pascucci that this harassment is a civil matter and that was not my jurisdiction. I have not received any evidence, documentation, or footage of the dogs barking to this date from either party. On January 8th, 2024, I received another anonymous complaint that the dogs were barking nonstop all day. I notified them that the next step would be for me to issue Nicole Zasek a fine, but if Mrs. Zasek chooses to appeal the violation issued, the complainants would have to appear in court to prove their case. I also asked her if she had talked to Mrs. Zasek about the issue, and her response was, "Oh no, I am scared of the husband." I immediately called Mrs. Zasek and asked her to address the issue as soon as possible and drove to the address where I witnessed no dogs outside at the time of arrival. On January 12th, 2024, I met with the Zasek family per the request regarding the issue. The days leading up to the meeting, I was able to confirm that the alleged harassment is a civil matter. I explained to the Zasek family that anyone in the neighborhood could take them to the Board of Selectmen as having nuisance dogs, and explained that Selectmen could put any kind of orders on the dogs, barking, collars, muzzles, moving the pen, etc. I was hopeful that they would try to make those changes before it got to that point. Nicole Zasek gave me a log of her dog's routine and schedule starting from December 19th, 2024, that shows when they are outside when and what they bark at, how long they are outside, and stated that they were in the process of setting up outside cameras. On January 18th, 2024, I received an email from Nicole Zasek stating that she received a summons from Jason Pascucci, who was taking her to court. On February 5th, 2024, I received an email from Nicole Zasek stating that the judge ordered Jason Pascucci to take down the barking device and to seek out help from the Board of Selectmen for nuisance dog barking if he sees necessary, which I had told Mr. Pascucci before. He also stated that she located another device elsewhere on his property, but was not sure if it was a dog barking device or not. I told Nicole that if he goes that route, that she would be informed of the Selectmen's meeting date to attend. The same day, I received a call at 11:18 a.m. from a caller reporting that the dogs have been barking for quite some time today. I immediately called Mrs. Zasek to address the issue. She stated that no one had been home from 9 a.m. to 10:55 a.m. and that the dogs were just let outside around 11 a.m. She stated she had video footage of those times as evidence. On February 5th, 2024, I also received an email from Jason Pascucci reiterating his concerns for the dogs barking at 5 Priscilla Lane and urged me to try to talk to Nicole Zasek to move her dog pen to the back, which he stated, this adjustment would significantly reduce the dog's reactivity to passerbys and alleviate the constant barking issue, thus restoring peace to our household. Mr. Pascucci also attached 30 short video clips from his outdoor ring camera of the dogs barking, which I reviewed. After receiving his email, I talked to Nicole and asked her if moving her pen is something that would be feasible, as this may be something that is brought up in a nuisance dog hearing. And she stated that would not be feasible. On February 8th, 2024, I called the neighbors of Nicole Zasek at 3 Priscilla Lane, 6 Priscilla Lane, and 8 Priscilla Lane with their concerns about dog barking. Mr. Anowina at 3 Priscilla Lane, who was to the left of the Zasek, stated that the dogs do not bother him, and that's what dogs do. Mr. Lucier at 6 Priscilla Lane, who was directly across the street, stated that the dogs are annoying and have the neighbors frustrated. Mr. Lucier stated that there are a lot of dogs on the street, but they do not bark as loudly as his A6 dogs. Mr. and Mrs. Lundberg at 8 Priscilla Lane said that the dogs do not bother them. On February 8th, 2024, I sent Jason Pascucci an email attaching the dog complaint form for nuisance dog hearing and that he needs to fill it out and deliver it to the town administrator's office, and they would advise him of the process. I was able to watch and listen to each clip that Jason Pascucci sent me from his ring camera. Most of the clips were no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, with one being 8 minutes and another being 4 minutes. I was able to listen and hear that the dogs barked for about 10 to 45 seconds in each clip. One clip, the dogs barked for 2 minutes and another for 1 minute. Although Charlton does not have a nuisance dog barking law that gives the definition of how long excessive barking is considered, while doing research, some surrounding towns describe excessive as 15 minutes or more of consecutive barking. I did not witness Moose or Maverick barking for 15 minutes or more in any given clip provided. At this time, I have insufficient evidence to identify Moose and Maverick as nuisance dogs and feel as though Jason Pascucci should bring forth his evidence to the Board of Selectmen to help his case. If the Board of Selectmen wish to deem Moose and Maverick nuisance dogs, and with the evidence provided, I have 2 recommendations. The most important one I have is for the Zasek family to be given 60 days, which is negotiable, to move their dog pen to the back of the house in a way that is feasible for them, and so that Moose and Maverick do not have a direct view of the street. I do believe that this would cut down the barking as they would not see as much street activity. The second recommendation I have is anti-barking collars, which may not be necessary if the dogs decrease their barking activity once moved to the house.
Thank you, Emily.
I
think you should come over to the testimony.
So next will be the.
Yeah, so the next is the, okay, Emily, thank you.
Yes, and you probably saw, but I did include the minutes and seconds on the ring camera.
Yeah, we have it here, yeah. We have it here. So now we will ask the complaint and that's, who is this? That would be Mr. Pascucci. Jason, can you come up and talk to us?
Hello, thank you for your time. My name is Jason Pascucci. Again, I live at 7 Priscilla Lane. I am here also on behalf of my wife and my 2 children, who are 8 and 9-year-old boys. I mean, that was a pretty cohesive summary that Emily just presented. So at the risk of redundancy, I think she kind of captured everything. I mean, I don't know what you guys have for references, but I have some pictures if I can approach. That's the pen that I'm talking about. I brought copies for everyone. The second page has an image of how it is in reference to my bedroom window, and then the other window is my 9-year-old son's window. I've also attached my medical report. I mean, I suffer from chronic migraines too as well. So there's doctors, basically a doctor's independent medical examination on the back of that. But as Emily has defined, the general law for nuisance dogs seems pretty straightforward. I think that it is, I'm trying to be reasonable. I'm not asking them to not take their dogs out. I just think when they're in the front yard and it's pretty close to the sidewalk, it's consistent. I do see that they come out to try and stop them from barking. But I think at that point, you know, the damage is done. It's just been ongoing prior to this. I've been living in the property for like 7, 8 years. I'd never actually spoken to any of them before. They've been kind of keep to themselves, which is fine. And as Emily had stated, the fence, the anti-barking ultrasonic device, the mothballs, those were all attempts that I was trying to make to mitigate the situation and kind of bring some comforts to my wife and children. The smell was pretty bad, particularly in the summer, the warmer months. So I would definitely welcome Emily's suggestion for relocating the pen. They have a large backyard. It may require some clearing of brush, but I think that would be an ideal outcome. Obviously, I wish it didn't have to come to this, but I had sent them a letter only because I had never actually spoken with them before, and I thought that would be an appropriate means to a first line of communication. So, and as far as the civil matters, that was a pretty messy situation that, again, I think for the sake of brevity, is not relevant to this document. So I don't think I have anything further.
So the attorney Cariglia, he's representing you?
That was for a separate, that was just how I got the it's not related to this.
It's not related, it's just
This is just that,
diagnosis
yeah,
that you was.
that was
in your
through
file.
a diagnosis from
Yeah.
a motor vehicle accident I was in. I don't know, honestly, the difference between why the nuisance dog law separates a source of disturbance for a sick or an annoying person or just peaceful enjoyment, but both are affected, including my children. You know, they've been woken up on school nights. And early, I've been woken up earlier than I would intend to be woken up. I think the dogs need exercise. I don't see them walk them very often. I think I've probably seen them walk them twice since I've been there.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anybody else that has testimony on that subject?
That's
not the dog, that's not the owner.
Not you, not we, but to you.
No, my
Anybody else
wife and
you-
children are home. I'm just
I
on
want to
behalf
make
of
sure
them.
that there's nobody here in the audience
No.
that has it. Okay. Okay, so thank you for now. We'll hear the other.
Not the owner.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I also have a packet for you as well.
you.
Can you guys introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Nicole Sosik. I'm a five seller.
Ron Dutz, Pakistan.
We've been there about 22 years, 23 years in July, I believe. Ron's lived in town his whole life.
Okay, let's tell us.
So I had a prepared speech for you, but obviously we've touched on a lot of things. So I'd like to start by stating that our dogs bark for about 30 seconds at a time, and Emily reported that as well. They do bark probably 10 times a day for 30 seconds at a whack, which is a total of 5 minutes out of the day. It's not an excessive amount by any means. If we were to move them to the backyard as suggested, we do not have direct access to our backyard from our house. We have to go through the driveway. We did have a deck, but that's been removed, and we do not have stairs that are usable to the backyard. So it would involve putting access to the home, or we would have to leash them and walk them to a fenced area in the back. You will see on page 2 of the photos, the bottom photo shows the video from his Ring camera, and you can still see our backyard is right there next to his home. So if we were to move them to the backyard, it is still going to be as close to him as it is now. It's just shifted behind the home. And you can also see in the picture that I took of the back of our home that it would still be right under his windows. That backyard has a view straight through to Oxbow Road. So even wherever we put them in that backyard, they won't see Priscilla, but they will see Oxbow. They do also have noses. They're hunting dogs. So if they can't see the dog, they're still going to smell the dog and they're still going to react. They don't react to everything that walks by. There are quite a few dogs in the neighborhood that have been walking by in the past week that they've not made a peep. Deliveries have arrived that we didn't even know arrived because they did not bark at the delivery driver. Moose is also only 1 year old, so we are still working on training him. But as for the address of we don't care for them and we don't walk them, we don't walk on Oxbow because the amount of traffic on Oxbow with the construction on 20 is extremely dangerous. We put them in our car and we go to a trail. We put them in our car and we go to a dog park, and that's not something that's seen by the neighbor. They are taken out at least 2 to 3 times a week, if not more. And we use the fenced-in area also to play with them in the yard. They get plenty of exercise. They are very healthy. There is a statement from the vet. They have all their shots. I've also enclosed for you the letters that we received from Jason, the letter back from myself, and his email that said he wanted no animosity. He then continued to drum up charges on my husband that were completely unfounded. The judge told him that there was nothing there. We were all sent out of court. That is all included for you as well. But he's found a way to level up every chance he gets since he has not gotten his way. And we're honestly quite fearful for what he'll do next, even if we move them to the backyard. Because moving them, if they don't stop barking in the backyard, then he's gonna look for would like to find another solution to the problem, which I think the only solution that would satisfy him is getting rid of the dogs.
You know, my dad, the fence we have in the front yard wouldn't work in the backyard at all because I would have to get my mowers and snow blowers out. And then it floods a lot in the back. The only way we consider putting it in the back, we would have to fence the whole backyard. And as you know, it's very costly. Ideally, we would like to, save up, for that, the fence in the whole backyard, but again, right now it's very, very costly. And East backs us, our front fence is right there. We keep an eye on them all the time. If not outside window, we have a window right there. If they start acting up a little bit, we'll go outside and bring them in. We'll calm them down. Like Emily said, they only bark for like 30 seconds at a whack.
If we were to move them to the back, it would be much harder. They'd be put out back and left out back at longer lengths of time without as much supervision because we have to stand there in the backyard with them. Right now, we stand at the front door, we sit at the couch that's right at the window to keep a watch and pull them in as soon as they bark. We do correct them again as soon as they bark, and that's evidenced even in his videos.
Who put up that wooden fence? You guys did?
That's his wooden fence.
That's your wooden fence. And that's the back of your house, the one with the door in the back? That's what you're referring to when there's no stairs?
Correct, those are emergency stairs. They were left by the guy who took down our deck. He said they're not really safe, but if, if there was a fire, we could run down them, but they're not safe for use. They're just there as,
They're not attached to the house.
they're not completely attached to the home.
Okay, before we go to the discussion. Do we have anybody here with you besides you guys? Anybody else, neighbors, anyone?
Our daughters are here.
The daughters, the neighbors. Okay, so we can move on to the discussion.
There is a statement from a neighbor though.
Yeah,
The
we
shots.
did see it, yeah.
Yes.
There's two neighbors, right? One was saying that there is extensive, that there's a barking, and another was saying that there's not.
Two were saying they were not. One
Two
was
were
saying,
saying.
according to Emily's interview, yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Any thoughts? Just talk about it a little bit. Yeah. Trying to think about it.
Before you call for a vote.
Yeah. Do we have any questions for these guys? Any other questions?
Not really a question, I just wanted, can we bring up, can we, I don't know if you got the email, can we bring up a little conversation about the clip that we saw? That his wife was possibly in it antagonizing the dogs, I think that's pretty helpful to speak about.
Yeah, I think so. Can we do that?
I don't have that available.
Okay, I do have a clip if you need it, but if not, we can.
No, that's the one that you emailed us.
Mary, I believe.
Yeah, no, we have seen it.
Okay.
We have seen it. We got it ahead of
I just
time.
also want to state, he mentions his kids are woken up at night from 8 PM to 8 AM. We keep them as quiet as possible. They do go out to use the bathroom during that time, but they are not outside playing during that time.
Mhm.
I let them out at 6:30 in the morning when I get up because that's the first time they get up, but they're brought right back in the house, and then I don't let them back out to play until after 8. I do know his children get on the bus at 8:20, so they are up and about for the day.
And, after 8 o'clock at night, we'll go outside and supervise the dogs when they go, to the bathroom. We'll go out there, make sure they go to the bathroom, and then bring them right in. After 8 o'clock, we have a strict rule of, no playing outside, just do your business and just go back in.
So who is with the dogs during the day? You guys are, or the kids are?
If we're at work,
Yeah.
the dogs are crated in the house.
Oh, yeah.
My oldest comes home most days by noon, so she's with them from like noon to 3. And then she heads off to work at 2 most days, so she's home a short window in the afternoon. The next child comes home, Sophina comes home after that, and then we're home for the evening for the most part with them. Schedule changes a lot. They've got a lot of moving parts
But
in their
there's
lives.
mostly
but-
somebody at the house.
They're at least home from 8:30 to 11:30 every day. There's no noise whatsoever. They are home in their crates.
Because I was reading this, and it seems to be, there was a few months that there was quiet. There was no complaints, there was no issues. So something was going right.
We haven't
with it.
changed anything that we've done, in all honesty, all along. So I don't know. There's other than the fact that they're learning the routine of the neighborhood and barking less more recently, we have not changed anything we've been doing since his first letter.
I think the lack of a complaint does not mean the lack of barking. It's just been the same situation consistently.
So there was no improvement at any time.
Right. And the clips and the duration of the clips, that was for the sake of uploading to a thumb drive for file size. I mean, I can
Well,
provide,
yeah, but we
I can
respect
provide
that.
plenty of clips that show timestamps that exceed what was just outlined. And I also feel that I don't think relocating a dog pen is a big ask. Most people I know have dogs just walk them on leashes and don't even use pens.
So we have a pen versus a fence for the cost, and it's not a pen, as you can see in the photo. It's a good sized fence. They're big dogs. They need a lot of space. It's just not a completely fenced front yard. I mean, we could have gone that route if we could have afforded to fence the complete yard around the house completely, in which case they would have had free reign of the entire yard.
That's what you,
Right.
so that you wasn't there, they can see it on our view.
When he says that like most people just walk their dogs on a leash, we did that when we only had one dog. But if there's only one of us home, it's more struggle. They're like 75-pound dogs. So we can't really walk them both at one person as easily. That's why we got the fence, and that's why.
But the dogs, when they're not leashed, right, they stay
They stay,
within
yeah.
their pen.
Yeah, correct. But we only got that when we got 2 dogs, so that it was easier for them to go out and go potty without both leashes with one person.
And they don't leave our property, they don't escape the fence.
Well, I want to keep from having back and forth deliberation, please.
Do you have any other questions?
I mean, I'll just make a couple of comments.
Do we have to close the
Realistically.
testimony first?
Well, when we close the testimony at this point, and then we move to deliberation.
So anything to add, guys?
Can I make one more point? Mr. Petrucci, has been lying pretty much the whole time. The first letter he sent us, he said a dog barked through all tonight, and that was definitely not true. You know, he says we keep him out there all day long, and it's not true. He took me to court. He told the judge, we asked him about the camera, concerned about him filming my 16-year-old daughter. He told the court and showed a picture that he only provides his own house. He doesn't record a house at all. And we just found out that through the videos that he's actually recorded a house, which, you know, I didn't think he was allowed to. He definitely told the judge that he wasn't video recording a house at all, which was concerns, you know. And every step of the way, he's progressively, you know, lied his way, says dogs bark too much, which.
Point of order. We want to stick to the dog's actions.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? So we close that testimony, and we can talk about it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just make a couple of points. I actually find issues, trust me, on both sides. I'm not fully convinced that this rises to the occasion of the Board of Selectmen, but it's here. I'm not gonna give you my solutions that I think could work because it's not my dogs, not my house, not my neighbors. I will simply tell you, number one, the point on the cameras, that's not that it's right or wrong, but for this board, it's irrelevant. This board has no authority in that area. It's not even for consideration of this board. That would be a police matter. As far as the dogs being out, one thing with the stairs, you may have another bigger concern because that could be a code violation. That could be a problem for you with the building inspector or the fire department. So you need to do something about that. As far as getting, you know, the comments about the back stairs, and let me phrase this from where I'm coming from, right? So I don't count anonymous complaints. If you don't put your name on it, I don't care, because it could be the same person calling repeatedly. However, we do know that while not all of your neighbors are upset, some of the neighbors do find it annoying besides the complainant here. So there obviously is an issue, at least some neighbors who feel there's an annoyance. I have 2 dogs and I can tell you that absolutely they're reactive. We never take our dogs out unattended. And where they're in the house, if any dog goes down my street, I don't care if my windows are closed, the neighbors can hear them in my house. So they're outside. Imagine how that carries. As far as the fence goes, I'm actually looking at that for myself now, and they are expensive. So that's why my wife and I are looking at 2 possible solutions right now. One is full fence. We don't know how much that's going to cost. It may be a lot, but the other is a partial, like what you've done in the front, but more of a big rectangular in the back. And that would be just so we can go out and throw the ball to them and not have them see a rabbit and then take off to the neighbor's yard. But, you know, to me, it comes down to, we like to see neighbors be neighborly, right? And try to work together. As far as the stairs, maybe there's a more affordable way, and this is just for the possible code violation. You can buy a slab, cement preform at Home Depot, have it delivered, and they've got a sound set of stairs you can walk down. Much more cost effective than hiring a contractor to come and build. It's just letting you know. So if the fence was gonna stay up front, and this is just a thought, I'm wondering, number one, if some kind of screen, solid screen, could be installed on the outside of the fence so the dog's views are completely blocked. So if they are out there, number one, they can't see the traffic, because chain link is just like having nothing. Is one thought. Another thought is just, again, like a partial fence in the backyard. You could bring them to winter's ending, so I mean, obviously work can be done now. It is spring and summer. I'd like to see this, hopefully, I would love to see it come back with a solution that you guys worked out. I'm hesitant. I don't want to declare a dog dangerous or nuisance dogs. For me, that's a very big threshold. But I would like to see, because in the end, to me, the dogs are still the owner's responsibility. It always comes back to the owner. I have 2 rescues, and when we take on any dogs, we take on everything that means with it. Whether it's getting some screening so that the fence cannot be seen through, so they can't see the street. My dogs, if they even sense the dog up front, they go nuts anyway. Or the back. The only thing I could suggest, if it's something you're open to, because again, I truly question this board's legal authority in this particular scenario, would be training shock collars, which is what we used. When the dogs get shocked from the collar, they begin to learn with the shock and the tone. And then it just goes to the tone, and they hear a beep or a vibration, that's just nothing, they stop. Short of that, our just as dog owners, we never just let our dogs out of the house. So.
Just my opinion, I don't feel this rises to the level of a nuisance dog. I think there's other underlying issues that this is being leveraged as a vector to bring a complaint forward. And I don't think as a board, or from my perspective personally, if we're not deeming the dog a nuisance, that we should be making recommendations to a corrective action. I think it's up to the property owners, the dog owners, to manage in a way that's appropriate for neighbors. I just, Priscilla Lane's a tight neighborhood. There's a lot of people there. There's obviously, as presented in evidence, there's a medical history here that provides a sensitivity to sound and light. So I think in the mix there, you have to try to find a neighborly solution. So, that's just my position.
And if you guys were open to considering the training collars, those are actually very affordable. You can get them from Amazon or the pet supply in Oxford for like $35, $50. They're actually pretty affordable.
We've attempted that. Our oldest, who's 3, literally shook for 3 hours after trying to speaking. So that was when we first tried to train him off leash.
Have you ever tried hiring an actual trainer?
We've gone to puppy school, yeah, but not trained with the collars.
Okay, so when you say training school, you mean like Petco training school?
We went to a kennel, Collinswood Kennel in Auburn.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Well, so you heard them both. In my opinion, I'm agreeing with both David and Pete. I don't think that matter is, rises to the is not seeking our opinion. But as a person and a dog owner also, I have a little dog and it barks all the time. And like David, I keep him inside, I don't let him, and we're talking 6 pounds. I take him on a leash when I go out of my road. I do everything that I possibly can to make it easier on my neighbors. To what Emily said, the Charlton, right, correct me if I'm wrong, so the Charlton does not have any nuisance dog barking laws, so we cannot define it of how many barkings, brings it up to to the level of extensive barking. So we don't have any precedent or anything like that to go with that, on that side. I completely feel for both of you. I really do. I feel for you because I know that, obviously you're showing that you have a history, that there's some medical issues, and this is not helping. I feel for you because you have dogs. If we will be bringing all the people here whose dogs are barking, we will be here every day, all day. And I don't think that's not in our hands to tell you what to do with dogs, and dogs are the family members, so we can't just completely, excuse that. With that pen, this is how I see it. And this is completely not telling you what to do and what not to do, but just try to be neighbors, try to come up to some kind of a reasonable conclusion, because you will be coming here for years. This is taking emotional toll on both of the families, this is not good for anybody. That's how I see it. We have to try to communicate in the best way possible, but we have to come together, right? So something has to give. Maybe you can work out on your issues. Maybe there is several things that you guys said that you have been doing that was making the dogs having anxiety, and this and another thing. I don't even want to know what the dog barking device was. I just gonna not go there. But so you did some things, and for you guys to, in my opinion, either putting the collar on, like David said, try to teach them. I know you don't like it, but something has to be done. Or putting the pen in the back. Again, I know it's expense, and it's something that you might or might not have the money to do right at this moment. But do something, whatever is more cost efficient for you guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, don't take it the wrong way. So, because it's only my view, there are a million dog owners with different views, but being a responsible dog owner, to me, also means not just bringing dogs outside and leaving them to lay outside.
We don't,
Well, if they're outside unattended, then that's what it is.
but we don't leave them unattended. Someone's always like.
But if they're outside and you're in the house, then they're unattended.
Okay.
So and that's why I said, it's just my view. I'm sure there are a million dog owners who disagree. I would tell both of you, two of the issues that you brought up to us and where I believe they belong. The issue with the camera, I believe belongs to the police department. The issue with the noise, I honestly believe it belongs to the Board of Health. Because we've actually had issues in the past with noise from animals, although it was livestock, but it's still similar. It was noise that was disrupting the neighborhood, and the Board of Health actually addressed that. I just think that's where these both appropriately belong. That said, I would make a motion to take no formal action on this complaint with hopes that we don't see this come back or get worse, and hopefully it gets rectified by either being out with the dogs when they're out front, getting a cement block upstairs, or getting a small pen in the back, or walking in the back. But I agree with Pete and Basha, looking at the definitions and what we're dealing with, I don't think, it definitely does not rise to dangerousness, and I don't think it rises to nuisance. So you may want to talk to the Board of Health about the noise issue. You may want to talk to the police about the camera issue. But I have the motion.
I will second your motion.
And we are all in favor on that one. Aye. I'm sorry, guys, that's the best that, in our opinion, that we can help, at least at this given moment. We have faith in you, that you're gonna go and try to, communicate it, and I know, but, see, don't say that. You'll be surprised.
I have kept the lines of communication open. I've never been reached out to. I left my
Jason.
email, my phone number. There was nothing.
We'll
else, so.
communicate with them, as
Right.
much, but there's a lot of backlash from this side of the family, so.
Well, we can't make you guys do that either. We hope you all do. You don't have to love each other to be neighborly.
You seem like a great people, everybody, sometimes those situations just get out of hand, and people forget that they're people, and they just go angry, and then they forget that there are ways that you can and I have faith in you, you can come together, you can come up with something.
I'm open to any.
We'll check on.
Improvement.
Yeah, if I would just say to both of you, I hope it doesn't escalate beyond this. Because we don't want to have a real issue where it does become nuisance dogs or dangerousness hearings, because those always go bad very quickly. But the thing with the training collars, and I'll just say as someone that we just recently went through that. We took our dogs to training schools. It didn't work. We finally hired a guy. My wife hired him, but it was like Jennings Canine, whatever, but he comes to your home. He's a pro, it's all he does. And you ever see like that Jose, the dog whisperer guy? He's like one of those guys. He's literally crazy. But he'll make the dogs do things. You're like, what? And then, so with dogs, it's really more training us than the dog. But he got our dogs to stop. It was incredible with those collars. And it's just maybe the methods he uses. But he was amazingly cheap too. You could find Jennings Canine Consulting. But someone who comes to your house and works with the dogs in the environment and gets them trained might be a solution that might work for you and for your neighbor, you know?
And training takes time. The one dog's a year old, the other dog's 3 years old, so.
They're still growing and learning, so they're still babies.
It's a matter of time.
I mean, I don't completely take them off and barking altogether. You know, if an intruder comes up, we want to know about it, you know?
Oh, our dogs still bark, but they don't bark it like, holy cow, right?
And it's an
And I understand where you're coming from. I'll be laying in bed upstairs and the dog will go down the street and I'll be like woken up from my own dogs. So trust me, I understand where you're coming
And
from.
everybody has their perspective. I would be totally against the barking collar, and that's just my perspective, but, you know, everybody has different perspectives.
It's just
We
an
don't need
effort
them
that counts, you know,
anymore.
you people both have to see that you're doing something, you know?
Right. And to your point, we don't need them anymore. Once they got to that point, we don't even put them on anymore.
I just would like quiet, that's all I want, I don't care the method, it's just, that's all I want.
I know, but those are animals, you have to keep that in mind, too. You know, they will bark, no matter what, color or not.
Yeah, they're gonna bark sometimes, but
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. All right.
But hopefully something will be done. I mean, and I'll just reiterate again, there, more than one neighbor did say there was a concern. So just take that into consideration.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right. So.
Yeah, need somebody to make a motion to move into the executive session.
Can somebody move the motion? Make the motion.
Just send it. Do you have the written motion? Yep. Madam Chair, I would move to adjourn to executive session, MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, looks like a 3, Section 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, police union, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body, and if the chair so declares, to return to open session if needed and to adjourn.
All right, guys, so thank you.
You have
Oh,
to,
we have a motion, roll call.
Pete, aye.
Pasha, aye.
David, and you need to, Vice has to say that she does declare.
Thank you. Do declare. It is necessary.
Now, guys, we're gonna ask you.